Real quick, before we get into the goodness, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you're notified to every time we upload a video. Appreciate you. If you've never heard the term black pilled, or if you have heard it and don't understand what it means, allow me to enlighten you. Black pilled means, to sum it up accurately, you are a pessimist. You don't believe in the bright side. You don't believe that things will change or that things will improve. And I want to address this because I've seen and I've heard so many people that are black pilled that they don't realize that what they rail against, what they feel so dour about, is changing or already has been changed. Take, for example, the quote woke agenda. People believed that it would never change, that companies that pushed the woke agenda would always do so despite the rejection, or to put it better, the objection of the common people, the normies. And that changed with the boycott or protest, or however you would like to see it, of Bud Light. When that happened, and is still ongoing, black pillars couldn't believe it. They absolutely could not believe it. Black pillars could not believe it, so much so that even to this day, they move the goalpost on what would be a successful stand against the woke agenda. Initially, some people said it wouldn't last more than a weekend. Then it wouldn't last more than a week. Then it wouldn't last more than a month. Well, they won't lose much money. They lost billions. Oh, well, they won't lose 10%. They lost 15. Well, they won't lose 20. They lost 25. They won't lose 30. They lost 30. Well, they won't. They're still not going to go out of business. They are literally selling off their smaller assets right now just to stay afloat. But that's what black pillars do. Black pillars are so used to seeing the downside, the negative side. They have given up in such a way that they don't even see the win. Bud Light was a catalyst. All other corporate entities are paying attention. Remember when Target did its Pride thing? The tuck-friendly bathing suits and all the things proudly displayed at the very front of their stores. And do you remember what Target said? What the internal Target memos were? We don't want to be another Bud Light. Some stores pushed their things, their Pride merchandise, to the back of the store. Some stores simply took it down. Black pillars didn't see that. Starbucks then saw what happened with Target and Bud Light, and they took down their Pride support as well. Major League Baseball did it. There were several entities that saw the backlash that Bud Light caught and did not want to be on the receiving end of it. Bud Light lost billions, over 20% of their market share gone. But black pillars don't see that. And I say this to all my people out there that may be black pillars, or you have black pillars surrounding you constantly in your ear, that every time you bring up something positive that the normal people have accomplished, they'll always say, yeah, well, but this, or yeah, well, but that. No. Winning does not necessarily mean the utter defeat of the woke agenda. Winning is simply the agenda being put in its proper place. Winning isn't necessarily the bankruptcy or the destruction or the corporate entities going out of business. That's not necessarily a win. A win is seeing them stop forcing the agenda down our throats. A win is seeing them do a 180 on all the garbage and nonsense that they push. That's a win. And we are winning. normal people are winning. You don't have to see the downfall of your enemy to understand what a win is. As a matter of fact, it was summed up best by this line in Iron Man 2.
If you can make God bleed, then people will cease to believe in him. And there will be blood in the water, and the sharks will come.
You see, the win in that situation wasn't the fact that, and I'm referring to the movie here, it wasn't the fact that he beat or defeated Iron Man on that racetrack. It was he showed that Iron Man was beatable. So you have a lot of other people coming out of the woodwork. That's what winning is, and that's what black pillars don't see. Bud Light showed all those people who were on the fence about what they could do to stop the woke agenda, the corporate woke agenda, into mainstream America and to American homes. The Bud Light boycott showed, wait a minute, we can actually make companies stop it. We can make them tone down, if not fully pull back on the agenda that they push. I think people often forget the majority, the word majority in the phrase silent majority, because so often we focus on the silent, and the silent is what let things get this far, that we forget that the normal people are the majority, that we can shut it down, that we can absolutely have our voices heard and our thoughts respected by refraining to spend money with those that do not share our values, or at least decide they want to push values that aren't ours down our throats. Unlike other entities, the wokies, the leftists, Antifa, BLM, the silent majority, the normies, we don't have to go out into the streets and scream and shut down traffic, tear up property, burn down act a complete ass and embarrass ourselves in public and on camera. No, that's not something we have to do. Because until otherwise proven so, money makes the world go round. And by numbers, the majority has the most money. So if that majority suddenly withholds that money, you will see entities, people, and businesses act right. You see, I have never believed in the phrase too big to fail. I was snapped out of that when I worked in the financial services industry back in the early 2000s, right at the time of the housing crash. Black pillars need to realize that nothing is too big to fail. The largest insurance group in America failed and needed the government to bail them out. Automakers, American automakers, foundations of the American industrial complex, failed and needed the government to bail them out. You don't think that companies like Bud Light and Target and Starbucks, you don't think they can fail just because they're part of the current generational lexicon? No. Spit up that black pill. There is nothing that is too big to fail. Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae failed. Two of the largest financial institutions in America needed government bailout because they failed. Nothing is too big to fail, especially if you have the majority working against it. The almighty Walt Disney Corporation is celebrating its 100th year in existence and is on the verge of utter collapse because of the woke agenda. Black pillars said, it'll never go under. Disney can never go down. Massive layoffs throughout their corporations on every single level. Begging for partners, selling off assets, looking for any way to bring money in because that silent majority withheld their money. That silent majority spoke up and pushed back. So black pillars, open your eyes, spit that pill out, and recognize there is hope. Nothing is too big to fail. And as I heard in a movie once before, all empires fall. There are no exceptions. Hey, I hope you have enjoyed that YouTube exclusive video. That is a small segment from our podcast, Free Mind Thinkers, which can be found on all places that you may download your favorite podcast, including iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and any place else you choose to download your podcast. If you want to see Rumble exclusive videos, you can check us out over there where you have exclusive content from the shows as well. Until the next time, remember to stand up, stand out, think differently.